Hey, it's your friend Choice CJ here, and I'm coming to you guys with my Week 11 battle for P4G Next Generation. We are going up against Aaron2420 and his Calgary Infernapes. So, a quick couple of housekeeping items, I guess, before we get into this battle. We are 6-4 heading into this battle, and we are in an extremely close race for making the playoffs. If we win, we're in. If we lose, there's a pretty decent chance that we are out. There's a few teams that we're competing with, such as the Carolina Clefables, coached by Panther, the Charlotte Charizards, coached by Tar Heel, Frieslander, New York Metagross, coached by Josh, Ultra Player. There's a whole bunch of teams, Blue Rogue and his AFC Wormadam. We're like all competing for, I think, 4 playoff spots. I think there's 6 of us total that are competing, and the problem with me losing, like, I have a better record than I think all of them right now, but I easily have like the worst differential, especially after getting bopped last week by Matt. That was really unfortunate. So if we win, we're in. If we lose, we need a couple of other teams to also lose, because if enough teams win, we're going to be defeated by differential, which is a bummer. And it's really funny because all of our 6 wins have come against like all of those teams. We beat Panther, we beat Josh, we beat Tar Heel, we beat Fries, we beat Rogue. So it would be a little bit of a bummer if we didn't make playoffs after beating all of those teams. You know, but we unfortunately didn't really carry out our end of the deal versus, you know, just some of the other teams that haven't done as well. Like, every coach in this league is competitive and have done well in various leagues, but you know, just in this particular season, some of the coaches that are closer to the bottom have still managed to catch W's versus us, which makes me sad, you know, but it is what it is. So anyway, let's now look a little bit at this matchup, and let's just say one thing right at the start. So Aaron came to me on Sunday. I'm recording this on Thursday. Sunday, and we had scheduled to battle in the evening, and he said, you know, I'm really not like feeling well right now, can we postpone till tomorrow? And I said, yeah, you know, there's really no issue, you know, I don't want you to play when you don't feel like it. And then Monday rolls around, and he said, you know, CJ, I'm really sorry, I just don't think I can like bring myself to battle. It's the last week of the season, I don't really like have anything to play for, I'm not in the playoffs, like I'm just gonna forfeit. And like, you know, as much as I wanted to like accept the forfeit, like, it would really stink, I think, if, you know, we're in this very close playoff race where 6 teams are fighting for 4 spots, and I, you know, take one of those spots by accepting a forfeit win. Like, it's not quite as simple as that, because, like, 3 of the teams that I'm competing with got, I think, forfeit wins from the Chicago Bewares, coached by Carson. So, like, you know, they kind of lucked out in that way. But I digress. Like, you know, it just didn't like feel right to me. So I messaged Kelly under the radar, and I was like, hey, what do you think I should do? He goes, well, can he find a substitute? And so I asked Aaron, you know, can you know, ask amongst your friends, you know, does anyone want to battle for you? And so he did. He found our buddy Ashley, who I've been getting to know a little bit through a Duel Links server that I'm in, which is pretty funny. Ashley just got their start, and has been using a Sylvan deck that's actually really competitive on Duel Links right now. So Ashley's going to be our opponent using Aaron's roster, and so it's not going to be straightforward to catch this W, because there are definitely a lot of threats on this Infernapes team. And so let's quickly go through the roster now that we are 4 minutes into the video. The Infernapes have Manaphy, Florges, Ninetales, Donphan, Incineroar, Stunfisk, Aegislash, Buzzwole, Crobat, Xatu, and Tropius. So he's got a couple of burbs on his team, which is pretty funny. I think his original strategy was gonna like to have a bunch of burbs, but he was gonna have some higher tier stuff like Zapdos and some other excuse me, some other things like that. But it ended up not really working out for him. But he still has Aegislash, which is dirty, and Manaphy, which is a threat. And even some underrated stuff like Crobat is kind of annoying for my team. Ninetales can cause problems with setting up Aurora Veil and things like that. But there's definitely some things that he's weak to on my team. So let's quickly get into that. So we do have a Banded Tapu Koko, which is really great versus the majority of his team. The reason that Band is better than Specs this week is, one, it powers up my U-turns, which I will be clicking often because he does have 2 ground types to switch into this thing. We do have Grass Knot just in case, but I think generally clicking U-turn is nice to go into one of my water-type Pokemon. But I am expecting a Spadef Manaphy to come this week because it's his only response to Volcanion. Otherwise, he just gets completely torn down by Volcanion. And so, that's truly what I'm expecting. And so, going for a Wild Charge versus that thing makes more sense because it's definitely going to do more damage to it. For other things on his team, like Tropius should take a shitload from Wild Charge anyway, but Brave Bird hits that thing. Brave Bird also allows me to hit Buzzwole for 4 times super effective damage. It should OHKO even max HP Buzzwole. And then Grass Knot there just for the ground types, although this doesn't actually hit Stunfisk that hard. And U-turn for the momentum. So a lot of this team really is built on momentum. If he wants to switch into one of his ground types, and I do want to click U-turn. Also, we're max speed on this thing to speed tie with Crobat. If we want to U-turn on a predicted ground type switch in, we have a couple of really nice options. First of all being Seismitoad, especially if the rain is up, Seismitoad looks really good versus his team. Actually, what I should have done is I should have made this, 30 IVs or 29 IVs, I think is what you need. Yes, that way we would take a little bit less from recoil, but I didn't do that. We went with 31 here and then 4 IVs here. But this set's really nice. Like rocks, I do want to get up rocks because getting rocks damage on things like Crobat and Tropius is pivotal for getting for getting KOs with Surf and with Poison Jab and things like that. It guarantees me a knockout on Ninetales with Poison Jab if it's not HP invested. I have a little bit of regret, like not going for something like Ice Punch on here because that also hits the Crobat and the Tropius for very powerful damage. But rocks just sort of makes sense in general, and I should have opportunities to click it, right? Like if I do bring this in on a Stunfisk or a Stunfisk or a Donphan, like he should be switching out probably into his Manaphy or something like that, and so I should be able to click rocks on that predicted switch. But yeah, Earthquake plus P-Jab is just really nice for hitting the majority of his team. Surf, I don't need a ton of investment in Surf to hit things like Donphan or Buzzwole extremely hard. Like Buzzwole takes like 70% min from Surf in the Rain, and Donphan doesn't survive unless it's like Max Spadef with a Pasho Berry or something like that. But yeah, the speed investment here allows us to outspeed Scarf Ninetales, which is not particularly likely to come, but it's just a precaution that I wanted to take. Next up, we've got a Volcanion with an Assault Vest set. This is sort of my default switch in case he does bring an offensive Manaphy. Again, I don't think he reasonably can. He needs too much coverage to be an effective setup set. And he doesn't have Waterium Z to give him a +1 speed boost, which means he's virtually always revenge killed by Tapu Koko. Even like a Wakanberry set takes like 150 min from a Wild Charge. Sorry, it takes 75% min from Wild Charge. It does like 150% normally, and that's even to like a max HP set. So anyway, with this, we can switch in, go for a couple HP Electrics, do annoying damage. Steam Eruption plus Flamethrower hits the majority of his team otherwise. And then the last move is Filler. Because I can't really run something like Toxic in this slot, I decided to go with Flame Charge, just to potentially be disruptive and force him to respond. So that's the move set. This allows us to outspeed Crobat at +1, or I think we only speed tie. Or no, we should get to 201 speed with this. So that outspeeds Crobat. And then yeah, that's just really the simple idea with Volcanion. Have something for a Manaphy, and I spelled Super Soaker wrong, which makes me annoyed, but that's not important. So since we are running some rain abusers, we need obviously our rain setter. So we are running Pelipper, Scald, Hurricane, U-turn, Roost. Pretty standard set. U-turn again, like if we bring in Tapu Koko, U-turn on the predicted ground type switch in, we can then bring in our Pelipper, set up our rain, and as he pivots out from those ground types, we can U-turn on whatever he wants to bring in, whether it's Manaphy or Florges or whatever. So we can pretty easily take advantage of that. We're running a sort of defensive set because this does allow me to check Buzzwole with this Pelipper set. Because if he wants to go for a Thunder Punch or something, we easily live it and can take it out with Hurricane, so no problemo. And Roost is there for longevity, just to try and give us as many turns of rain as possible. Next, we do have our Muck, Alolan Muck, which is our designated check to Aegislash. And so we do have enough speed on here for an uninvested Aegislash, and the rest just goes into HP and defense. Knock off, Poison Jab, Recycle, and Taunt. I thought Taunt was important because if he wants to do King's Shield shenanigans, Taunt actually goes through King's Shield, so we no longer have to go for 50-50s versus that thing. And then the Figgy Berry Recycle is just really, really nice here. He does have like his ground types to threaten Muck, but versus the majority of his team, otherwise it's gonna be hard for him to deal with Muck that can basically go for Recover for forever. So that's the main thought with the Muck, is just a Aegislash switch in. And last but not least, we do have Mega Scizor, physically defensive this week. It still blows my mind that this thing has more defenses than Skarmory. But Bullet Punch, Knock Off, Aerial Ace, and Roost. Really wanted U-Turn on this set, but I didn't think I could afford it. I wanted Knock Off to hit Aegislash for some damage. Bullet Punch is really important for Ninetales, Florges, etc. And then Aerial Ace allows me to hit Buzzwole, which otherwise pretty much walls me. So that's what we're thinking with that set. And it gives me a switch into Bat to Buzzwole, and gives me a Revenge Killer versus some of his most annoying things. So I think on this Mon we have enough speed for 0-speed Buzzwole, and I think it's the same with Pelipper as well. We hit like 102. And yeah, I think that uninvested Buzzwole gets to like 99. So if he puts 8 speed in here, or 16 speed, we should be able to still outspeed. Or I guess it's 12 speed. Yeah. Not that I'm necessarily expecting that, but just having a little bit of creep is always good. So that is the team, and let's now go to the battle. And Ashley has brought Crobat, Manaphy, Stunfisk, Buzzwole, Donphan, and Tropius. So I guess there's a couple things that I expected here. I thought Crobat would definitely come. I'm actually halfway excuse me halfway expecting a Scarf Crobat set, because it's a way to catch Tapu Koko off guard. Manaphy, I'm definitely expecting to be Spadef. The Stunfisk is probably a Spadef set for the Tapu Koko, but he could instead be something like Assault Vest Donphan to deal with Tapu Koko. We'll have to see. Buzzwole, I'm not so sure about. I guess it's a decent switch into Scizor. And it can kind of threaten Muck. Like, Muck can't really hit Buzzwole that hard in return. And then Tropius, I don't think Tropius has come more than once all season. Actually, I can kind of look that up as we're talking here. But I do know that Tropius gets Chlorophyll, so that could be a really cheeky way to try and neutralize my rain. We'll have to see exactly how that one plays out. So, in terms of leads, I was telling myself that I was going to lead Koko pretty much no matter what, because he should be threatened out into one of his ground types, and then I could easily go into Pelipper or go into Toad and play from there. Like, Toad makes sense if I want to set up rocks right away. Pelipper if I want to set up rain right away for whatever reason. And yeah, just as I'm looking this up here, Tropius came to, I think this is the only, no, there came to one other game besides this. So yeah, not a lot of representation from Tropius here. But it is here in this game. But yeah, as I was saying, Tapu Koko is my lead. The only thing that's going to make me think twice is if he does lead Crobat, and I'm going to scout for the Scarf before we get started with that. So, all that said, good luck, have fun to Ashley. We're going to see how this battle unfolds. Again, the stakes are really, really high in this battle. I need to win in order to advance. And like, even as I'm recording this, I don't know the results of the other battles. They haven't occurred yet. So I don't even know like if I have any chance of making playoffs if I lose this. So we can't take any chances. We have to catch a W. And we do see the Tapu Koko versus Crobat lead. So as I explained, I'm not really willing to make a risky play here and potentially sack my Tapu Koko to Scarf Cross Poison. So my play is to go into Scizor, which is my best switch into Crobat. He switches out, and even though he switches before me, if he was Scarf, I don't think he would have switched out. So I'm less worried now about a potential Scarf set. And we do get our Scizor in here versus the Stunfisk. So like, Stunfisk isn't really that threatening to my Scizor, but the only annoying thing about this is that he can pretty easily get up his rocks here, and I've got no way of removing them this week. So rocks are up to stay, and that's just going to repeatedly wear down my team. Pelipper is going to have limited switch-ins for setting up rain, so I have to play very, very carefully with that thing. He is going to switch on out of his Stunfisk, knowing that he can't do anything to my Scizor. And he brings in his Buzzwole, and I do knock it off. And you're going to see that he's actually packing a Life Orb. So this is pretty scary that this is a potentially very offensive set. And I do just want to go for Aerial Ace, and, I don't really want to play around with this thing. And it goes for Bulk Up, so that's really horrifying, because I don't have many ways to deal with a +1 Buzzwole. But, luckily we take him down to about 30% with our Aerial Ace. And so he doesn't seem to be very bulk invested. On this turn, I am expecting him to go for a Roost, so my thought is I can go into Volcanion, and I should outspeed. I guess it depends on if he's Adamant or Jolly Nature. But, then I can go for a Flamethrower and threaten him. Like, staying with Scizor, like, he could, like, Roost and bulk up, and I think in theory he could eventually beat me 1v1, and so that's kind of what I'm trying to avoid. But he just goes for a Drain Punch and does a tremendous amount of damage to my Volcanion, especially after it takes rocks. So in retrospect, kind of a mistake, but I couldn't have known that he didn't have Roost. I guess I don't know what sort of coverage he would have been running if he had Bulk Up and Roost. I don't think he would have had enough coverage for my team necessarily. But he goes into his Manaphy, it takes the Flamethrower easily, and then he can Revenge Kill with Ancient Power. So Volcanion kind of does nothing in this match, but based on the damage that this Manaphy takes, it is a Spadef set, like I suspected, so I'm not really that worried about him, sweeping me or anything like that. And even if... Excuse me. Even if he is somehow a setup set, I have this Tapu Koko to basically guaranteed Revenge Kill any setup version of Manaphy. So not expecting him to stay in here. He doesn't show an item, which makes me fear a little bit that he is Wakanberry. But I think at the range of HP that Manaphy's at, there's a good chance that I can still take him out with my Tapu Koko. But as this Stunfisk comes in here, this is a really good opportunity for me to go into Pelipper and set up my Rain. And expecting him to want to switch out once again, I am going to go into Tapu Koko with a U-turn. And so the next turn, I don't know if I would call it a 50-50. But, I'm going to be asking myself, do I think he's going to stay in, or is he going to go into one of his ground types again and, continue to be trapped in the Vortex? Like, being trapped in the Vortex for him isn't all that awful, because I don't have Rocks up or anything at this point. And, like, for me, if I'm in the U-turn state of mind, I'm taking Rocks damage every time, so it's not all that bad for him. But what we do see is that he stays in with Manaphy. I don't know if that confirms him being if that confirms him being Wakanberry or not. But he goes for Energy Ball, expecting my Seismitoad. Good prediction. And, my Muck takes that with ease. And Manaphy does show the U-turn. So it's got Ancient Power, Energy Ball, U-turn. There's almost no chance that it's a setup set. It has to have a Water move in the last slot. And I go for Knockoff just because, excuse me, seems like it should be annoying to whatever he wants to go into. So, with his Buzzwole facing down my Muck, I can't really threaten it. Going into Scizor seems like my overall best play, and he just goes for a Drain Punch, and this does very minimal damage thanks to my bulk investment. And so, I'm not thinking that he's going to stay in here. It doesn't seem like he's got a great move to hit me, and unless he sets up, like, I don't think he can take the Aerial Ace, but then if he does set up, I think Aerial Ace into Bullet Punch should kill. So he is going to bring in his Donphan here, as I go for the Roost just to get up to a good amount of HP. And so, I don't know exactly what sort of variant of Donphan this is. He switched initially into Stunfisk on my Tapu Koko instead of this Donphan, so it could be anything. And I find out that it's actually a Jolly Donphan with Fire Fang, and that could have been really, really bad. Lucky for me, he did miss, which really, really sucks for him, of course, because it had a decent chance to take out my Scizor. Like, yes, I was a practically max defense Scizor, but Donphan's strong and has base 120 attack, which is nothing you can sleep on, and it was Life Orb, so I bet that would have KO'd. And losing my Scizor here would have been really bad because of things like Crobat and and also Buzzwole would have been way more annoying. But I go into the Seismitoad on the Donphan, and he doubles into Manaphy, and I go back into my Muck on the Manaphy as he goes for U-turn very smartly. And this does proc my Figgy Berry, so I'm at practically max HP here. And Donphan's going to be able to come back in here and threaten me with an Earthquake. So, I go into Pelipper expecting the Earthquake. This is, I guess it's a little bit risky because if he predicts this and goes for Stone Edge, I'm in quite a bit of trouble. But I'm not in a position to risk anything else on my team. Like going into Toad and taking an Earthquake would be really detrimental to my strategy, especially because I have Life Orb, but I need all the HP I can get so I can survive that. But he does switch into his Stunfisk. He switches out before my Pelipper. Like, I knew he was faster than me based on, the fact that he outspeed my Scizor, and my Pelipper is the same speed as Scizor. He doesn't know that, so that's why he makes the double. And then I just go into my Toad and threaten that thing out. So on this turn, I do go for Surf. I could have gone for Rocks here because if he brings in his Manaphy, the thing is about 45-50% HP. It should die to a Life Orb EQ. So I think in retrospect, going for the Surf was a little bit of a misplay. I don't think there was any chance that he was going to be staying in with a Stunfisk. So small regret there, but in the moment, it only, it doesn't really cost me anything. It just costs me an extra turn of Life Orb Recoil. And Ashley kind of makes a misplay here. Sends in the Buzzwole. And Buzzwole easily dies to a Surf in the Rain from a Life Orb Seismitoad. And so I think Ashley didn't realize that Seismitoad has Swift Swim, which, made things very difficult for that poor Buzzwole. But anyway, I run out of rain turns and this Tropius comes in. I definitely cannot risk this thing. And we're going to see a pretty heat move come out of here. Sunny Day is going to go up from this Tropius. So it is a Chlorophyll Tropius, which can potentially be tricky for me because, he can potentially take away my rain. And he goes for Earthquake here. I go for Recycle because, I want to have my berry back. And we see that this Earthquake does very, very pitiful damage. So there's even a chance that he is like a 0 attack Tropius with just more special attack investment. But you'll see in a few turns here that I really should have gone for Poison Jab or for Knockoff versus this Tropius just to get a little bit of damage. And we'll revisit that point in a few moments. So I do go for Poison Jab now, trying to hit the Tropius in case he wants to go for EQ or something like that. And the Donphan does come back in. And so I'm in a position here where my Muck doesn't really serve much of a purpose because the Aegislash didn't come, the Manaphy is dead, so it doesn't really do a lot. And so I just go for Knockoff here, and the Donphan goes for Rock Polish. So this is really scary because this does outspeed a lot of my team. I have to set up Rain and then Revenge Kill with Seismitoad, or make a couple of cute plays and get my Scizor in to try and survive the Fire Fang in the rain, because like I was pretty sure I died before to Fire Fang. Granted, he doesn't have Life Orb anymore because I knocked it off, but he actually had the Sun at that point, which further boosted his Fire Fang, so there's almost no way that Scizor can live. So I have to go into Pelipper, set up the rain, switch out on the expected Stone Edge, and then I can take him out from here. I'm going to go for Bullet Punch. Bullet Punch should not kill from this range of HP, but I guess I was kind of hoping that it would, because basically it's still just a little bit hard to tell what sort of range he is exactly. So he survives on a few HP, goes for Fire Fang, and actually nets the burn. So this is a little bit of revenge hacks for the miss earlier. Like, I think that the miss was more consequential than this burn, so I can't really complain. But it is what it is. So we can take out the Donphan with the next Bullet Punch. And now on this next turn, we are going to see X-Wing come back in, the reappearance of the Crobat. And my Tony Stark here doesn't have much usefulness anymore in this match. The last remaining Mons are Crobat, Tropius, and Stunfisk. So I just go for Bullet Punch, hoping that to get some damage off before he Revenge Kills me, but he actually goes for Nasty Plot. So this is pretty crappy because Nasty Pat's pretty scary. He goes for an Air Slash and kills me. I went for a Knockoff on this turn because I was maybe expecting him to go for Roost. And if he was going to go for Roost, there's really no point in going for Bullet Punch. At least if I went for Knockoff, I could have, gotten rid of a potential Expert Belt or a berry of some sort. That would have been useful. But he just kills me. And we're in a position where we have to go for a Speed Tie with the Coco. And we also have to predict him potentially going into his Stunfisk. So I decided to go to for a U-turn to cover that, and I thought that U-turn might put him in range of a rain-boosted Surf, But after looking at the damage, I'm not 100% confident that that's the case. I think that this Crobat might be at like 75% HP, and my Surf only does a guaranteed 69% versus an uninvested Crobat. And so, like after the battle, I was able to like figure out that this thing couldn't really have been much higher than 70%, maybe like 71, 72% or so. So I could have gone into Seismitoad to potentially take this thing out, but I don't think it ended up making a huge difference in the match. So I go back into my Koko, I go for Wild Charge, luckily he stays in, and even with his Wakanberry we can kill him. And now the Stunfisk comes in, and this is, definitely a tricky turn. I go into my Toad because, I don't want to sack my Koko just yet. My Seismitoad cannot OHKO the Tropius with any move that I have, and so I have to be able to preserve the banded Tapu Koko to kill this Tropius. But Ashley makes a very, very smart double, brings in the Tropius right here. I go for the Poison Jab, which does like probably 75% damage, and the Sunny Day is going to come up here. And I don't have any way to reset the weather. I don't have anything that can outspeed Tropius at this point. And so, unfortunately for me, the Tropius is going to get the last 2 kills here and hand us that fat L. So, there's a lot to talk about here. In that late game there, like I was just describing, I could have gone into Toad on the Crobat. It would have been the exact same result. Because after the Crobat goes down to Surf, he brings in Tropius, he lives the Poison Jab, and then he sets up his terrain, and is able to pretty easily kill me. Like, my Tapu Koko would have been at a higher range of HP, but I doubt that a Earthquake would miss out on the KO versus my Tapu Koko. Having my Volcanion had a healthier amount of HP would have been nice versus this Tropius. Tropius is, it's not that strong. Like I was just saying, like Tapu Koko probably wouldn't have survived, but that's because Tapu Koko was at like less than half HP. If I had like a practically full HP Volcanion, and I had switched it in on if I had switched it in on Tropius going for Earthquake, or or like brought it in after Tropius killed something, I should have been able to easily kill with Flamethrower, and I think I can pretty confidently say I would have survived the Earthquake just because Volcanion's got nice physical bulk. So, letting Volcanion go down for earlier in the match on that versus that Buzzwole on the predicted Roost was really unfortunate. But then there's 2 other plays that I think I could have potentially pulled out this late game. One of them I did mention earlier in the match, which was Rocks on Toad. If I had gone for Rocks with my Toad versus the Stunfisk as he was switching into Manaphy, that would have put the Tropius in range of my Poison Jab. And then finally, with the Muck, instead of going for Recycle, if I had gone for Knockoff or Poison Jab, that would have put the Tropius in range of my Seismitoad's Poison Jab. So, a couple of missed opportunities for sure. I think we could have pulled this one out if we just gotten any of those other plays correct. But we didn't, and the way that it works out is a 2-0 loss for us versus the Calgary Infernapes. So that leaves us with a 6-5 record with a total 0 differential, which is definitely a bummer. It puts us in a very, very difficult spot, and I don't think we're going to be able to advance. We're still waiting to see the result of some of the other matches. And actually, as I'm looking at it now, one of the opponents did advance because they seem to have won their match. So we are now officially eliminated. So that's a major bummer. I really wish we could have made it work out in this game or many of our other close games that we lost throughout the season. We had a very, very narrow loss versus Max Rapture and the Tasmanian Toxicroaks that could have gone our way if I'd played a little bit differently. We had a very, very close 1-0 loss versus Carson, who, again, it's a little bit of a bummer that all the other coaches got forfeit wins over him, and I ended up losing to him. And then I'm in this situation here where I was potentially could have accepted a forfeit, but thought it better of it, and with the counsel of Kelly, got a substitute. But that's I'm just bitching at this point about when it comes to that. So feel free to ignore what I'm saying. So yeah, there's no 2 ways around it. I'm sad that I am not going to be in playoffs. But, with that said, we had a lot of really entertaining games this season, starting all the way back in Week 1 versus Nick, aka Reckless Bat, and netting a 1-0 victory over him and his Genesect team. And other close games like the 1-0 victory versus Fries, which was really fun. We almost got up at Belladrum Chestnut sweep, which was great. Tapu Koko put in a ton of work. Mega Scizor got a 6-0 sweep. Seismitoad was the GOAT with the Swift Swim ability this season. It got like 8 or 9 kills throughout the whole season. It was a very, very underrated rain sweeper for me. All in all, this is like one of the most fun teams I've ever used. It's like definitely like top 2 for me. I think it's probably number 1. The only other team that like comes close to it is my PMC Season 2 team that I use. Not PMC Season 2, UBC Season 2, which I used to win a championship. I did like my PMC Season 2 team. Had like Manaphy and Mega Sableye and some other fun stuff. It also had Seismitoad on that team. So that was a good one. But yeah, this is just the combination of Tapu Koko, Pelipper, Scizor, Seismitoad were so fantastic. I would draft that core again in a heartbeat. It worked so good. There's a few like tweaks I would make. I would get some more rockers. Like having only Toad and Armaldo with rocks was kind of annoying, especially because those are my my rain sweepers, so they didn't really like to click rocks in most matchups. I probably would trade out the Chestnut and Musharna for different Mons, just because they were both great. But their usefulness as defensive Mons was hindered by my rain. Like Synthesis and Moonlight are both weakened by rain, so they weren't super reliable. Volcanion, not a big fan. It just like it's just too slow to be very effective. And yes, like there were some weeks like who was it who had Toxapex? I don't remember who it was. I think it was versus Max Rapture. Does Max Rapture have Toxapex? Let's quickly look at this. Yeah, so like 2-hit KOing a Toxapex with Volcanion in the rain was pretty epic. But otherwise, like Volcanion just didn't really do a lot of work for me this whole season. I don't think I would draft it again. I would rather draft a water type that's not weak to to rocks. Draft something that's a little faster, and draft something with momentum. So like like a Protean or Ash Greninja would have been perfect in that slot. And I was potentially thinking of grabbing that, but it worked out for the best because I did get Mega Scizor instead of the Greninjas there. But that's one thing I would do slightly differently. I like using Salamence, but Salamence didn't really fit on this team. I kind of wish I had gone with Dragonite, because Dragonite can abuse the rain a little bit more with 100% accurate Hurricanes and 100% accurate Thunders and things like that, while still also providing Dragon Dance support. It also would have given me better priority with E-Speed. So I think that's something that I'll do the next time. But just overall, like this is again one of the my favorite teams ever. And even though we didn't make playoffs, I don't really have any regrets about the season otherwise. This was a lot of fun. And I hope that I get the opportunity to chat with and hang out with the P4G guys again sometime in the future. I'm not getting promoted to the main league. I guess they probably wouldn't have promoted somebody from who didn't make playoffs anyway. But nobody from P4G Next Generation's getting promoted, so that's a thing. But that's not the point of this. So anyway, I've just been rambling for probably 5 or 6 minutes now. If you've made it this far, congratulations. I definitely appreciate it. If you did make it this far, drop a like down below and leave a comment to let me know that you're still here. Would definitely appreciate that. Excuse me. We do have our UBC video going up tomorrow, so I hope you'll check that out. And then we're probably gonna have a little bit of time off from Pokemon. I think until like second half or last week of April, we're gonna have some Pokemon content going back up. We have a couple of announcements that we'll make when the time comes. We're in a few different Wi-Fi leagues confirmed for the coming months, and there's potentially some others that I'd like to apply to and see how my luck works out. So even if it's like a 2 to 3 week break on the channel, Definitely expect some action coming forward. Again, late April, all through May, June, July. Gonna have lots of Pokemon content. And I do want to start putting Duel Links up again. I've still been playing a ton of Duel Links, and I still really like it. It's just been hard to find time to record on top of my Pokemon responsibilities. So we'll do our best to make that happen. Maybe we'll even get some versus videos. I've got a lot of buddies who are on YouTube who are playing Duel Links now, and it's a hell of a lot of fun to duke it out with them. So that's basically the last update for me. And yeah, thank you guys for watching. Make sure you check out the channel for other gaming and Pokemon content. Until the next time, I'll see you guys later.